Who am I really? One thing that still frustrates me in rural areas is when people use someone's LGBTQ plus status as their first identifier. It's the first word they use to describe them, rather than their characteristics like intelligent, successful, funny, lovable, handsome, or even by their profession like lawyer, doctor, teacher, artist, etc. For years, that frustrated me, as I didn't want my whole identity to be pigeonholed by my sexuality. However, looking back now, in reality, being LGBTQ plus is a core part of our identity too, and that's okay. Through the reflection of a very special guest, today's show discusses the topic of struggling with and coming to terms with the different parts of our identities. In the words of the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, who are you? Today we have a very, very, very special guest to me. Every time I talk to this person, we get into very deep conversations for some reason. But this time, all of you get to listen to our deep conversation, and I think you are going to be in for a treat. Today we have Miss Leah Halston with us, the host of Play Louisville. So many titles, I'm not even going to try to mention them. She is absolutely amazing, and I'm going to allow Leah to introduce herself.
Thank you, Kurtis. Hello, everybody. I'm Leah Halston, and I'm so excited to be here to share my story with all of you out there in the podcast land.
And just a little bit of background. Whenever we started this show, we've got many drag queens out there that we could pick, and I said, I will not interview any other drag queen until I get Leah Halston on this show. So we're very appreciative that you are on here with us today. And the first thing we're going to do with our deep conversation is we're going to get right into your upbringing. So tell us a little bit about what it was like to grow up.
Let's see. Grew up originally from Lafayette, Louisiana. My grandparents, aunts, uncles, all there. My grandmother raised me until I was about 15 or 16. So at about 8 or 9, I knew I was different, and I knew what I was attracted to coming up. And being from a little small country town like that, everybody know you, everybody know your business, and everybody know what you do. So going to elementary school and high school, that was a little rough for me because back in those years, we didn't have bullying laws and stuff. So right. I can just recall and remember going to school, being teased all the time. They used to say, the thing I remember from that age is they said that I walked funny, that I had a switch. So everybody would tease me and be like, stop twisting or, do like that. So I'll be scared to walk up to the bulletin board to do a problem or anything like that. So that went on from elementary all the way up to high school. It was just a little rough for me because nobody understood me and what I was going through. And like I said, we didn't have bullying laws, so I had to put up with all being teased and talked about. And it just made me very insecure. And as an adult in age right now, I'm still a little bit insecure and dealing with some issues from all of that. But being from that small town, I grew up, all of my uncles are military, my family's military, and it was just a rough upcoming coming from my family that is very uneducated about this lifestyle. So fast forwarding to 15 and 16, when I really knew I was gay and different, I ended up moving to Houston with my parents, my mom. Nothing changed when I got to Houston. It was still the same. the schools were just a little bit tougher, and I got jumped on, beat up a lot in high school because I was different. I kind of felt like I was that kid that I didn't want to play football. I didn't want to do any gym classes and basketball and that stuff. I was that kid that showed up at the cheerleading auditions and the majorette auditions and stuff and got laughed at. And, I remember showing up in high school for majorette, and the majorette director turned me away and said, this is not for you. Wow. You should probably go play football or basketball. And it just wasn't, that wasn't what I wanted to do. So,
were you able to be involved in those things as majorette or a cheerleader?
My senior year, because I fought for it. I started my 9th grade year. My senior year, I fought for it. I said, I'm not going to let nobody tell me what to do. Right. So I showed up for majorette, and I just kept going. They featured me one time, and that was it. And my senior year, I was just cheerleading, and I ended up being head of the cheerleaders, But I didn't let no stop me. I continued to do what I wanted to do. Just growing up in the family that I come from, right now I look at families, the generation now, families are so supportive, and I love meeting families that are supportive of their kids that are out, because I didn't grow up like that. Same. I come from a very military family. My family is hard. My family is not supportive. A part of me, everybody keeps saying, get on Drag Race. I would love to get on Drag Race, but in the back of my head, I'm like, what am my family going to think?
Right. Yes. That was one of the main things when I started this show. I mean, I've come from a very religious, conservative family, and I had to talk to my mom before starting the show, because I was like, it's going to come out that I have started this show that features all these LGBTQ plus creators out there, and everyone in the whole world, even those that somehow didn't know, they're now going to know that I'm gay. Yeah. I said, how will my brothers take that? How will the extended family take that? And the backlash that they're going to experience from their communities. So I totally get that. Yeah. Whenever you were growing up, obviously you were part of the cheerleaders, you were doing all of this stuff, and I took the different route. I was the baseball player. I was the actor, that sort of thing. So it's a very different path than my own, and you were doing it in a time that was tremendously not accepted. Did you face any issues from other parents of kids or anything like that when you were growing up?
No. So here's the thing. No, I didn't. There was no, don't hang around this person, don't hang around that person, that I was aware of. My problems came from other kids in high school. I was a smart kid in school, and I held myself back in school because, in my head, I was teased for walking funny. So when the teacher would call me up to the bulletin board, I didn't want to do it. Or if I won an award at a school assembly, I didn't want to walk in front of all those students, because they would snicker and laugh, and, they would do all these things to me. So it made me a little bit stronger, and it made me the person I am today. But if you took a kid in this generation and switched with me back in that generation, I don't think that kid could handle that. Right. So I kind of pat myself on the back for sticking through all that and still graduating high school, because I could have easily been like, forget this. Right. I refuse to be, I'm not going to take this. But I just pat myself on the back for going through all that.
Well, I tell everybody you're stubborn, but I guess you're also very strong. That comes with the package.
Yeah, and that's why I can't keep a relationship, because I am so grounded. And, when people say, don't make me mad, I'm going to hurt your feelings or something like that, I tell people, baby, you cannot hurt my feelings, because my feelings been hurt all my life. I've been through so much, and I've built such a backbone. And the person I am today, I'm super proud of myself.
Absolutely. You have every right to be proud of yourself now. Let's talk about what age did you come out officially, and what age, or how was that environment once you did? Or have you?
Well, let's see. I can remember. Okay, I remember the exact. I think I was like about 28, 29.
Mm-hmm.
My phone rang. My mom. It was my mom on the other end, and my mom have. I think I have like 4, 5, 6 uncles. I forgot how many. It's been so long, but my mom called, and I remember this day really good. And she called and she said, "Your uncle died," and I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, he died from that shit." And I said, "What shit?" She said, "That AIDS." And I was like, immediately I hung up the phone because
Wow.
that was, living the life I'm living. Um, I just didn't like the way she said that, and that's the type of family I come from.
Absolutely.
So I hung up the phone, and then I called her back, and she was like, "He died from HIV/AIDS, and mind you, he was a heterosexual man, and who knows what he was doing? I don't know.
Right.
But it was her baby brother, which was my uncle, and when she said that, I clicked, and I said, you know what? I am tired of hiding. I'm tired of not being myself. I was going home, for family events and stuff, pretending to be this person that I'm not, putting a hat on, acting macho, and I got tired. At that moment, I said, this ends right now. And so I said, we cried, and then I said, I have something to tell you. And she said, what? I said, I'm gay. And she got silent. And then she said, let me call you back. And she hung up.
Wow.
So, at this point, I stopped living for my family and started living for me. Because you either accept me or you don't.
Absolutely.
So, where I'm at in my life, me and my mom, we talk, but I don't have a great relationship with my family. So, I used to call my grandmother every day. I used to be in touch with my family every day. Now at 46, I'm living my life for me. If y'all can't accept me, then you can't be a part of my life. I'm sorry. So, have my mom ever seen me in drag? She have on pictures,
Right.
and that's through a best friend. She dropped one of my best friends off, and he invited her in. She said, "Who was that?" She said, "That's your son." He said, "That's your son." She said, "Oh, So we're at a point where she'll call and say, "Do you have a show tonight?" And I'm like, "Yes." And that's how the conversation is. Like, I don't have a good. I feel like my family drove me away.
Right.
But
there's a difference between those, the hints of slow acceptance and just actually stating, you're still my family member.
Yeah.
I still love you, and I'm going to be supportive. So I totally get that.
Well, in general, black families do not accept gay, homosexual, whatever you want to call it. They don't accept that very well. Right. Even the community. If I go out into the black community in this form or however, I'm gonna be made fun of, laughed, looked at, pointed at. That's just how we are. My community, my people are. So,
and that's one of the things that the Trevor Project just released that was stunning to me was, 44% of young LGBTQ black youth have seriously contemplated suicide. Is there anything that you want to tell them directly in terms of how you survived growing up and making it through that?
The only thing I can say is, live your true life and don't let nobody hold you back from doing what you want to do or who you want to be. I did that for so many years. If you went into my parents' house right now, there's so many pictures of me where I used to get my nails done. At some point, I laugh at the pictures when I go home because at some point I decided to shave my eyebrows off.
Oh, wow.
So there's pictures of me at my parents' house. Oh, the Sears Portrait Family's pictures with a hat on, pulled all the way down. I have my nails done acrylic, so I have my fist balled up, and it's me and my sister. Me and my sister are 15 years apart. I'm the oldest, of course, whom I don't have a relationship with either, and which is sad. But there's pictures of us, and me. Here's me in the back, just being
Trying to
somebody
hide.
I'm not trying
Yeah.
to be. So, I would just like to say, just be yourself and don't let nobody tell you you're not that person, or don't pretend to be somebody you're not, because you're going to be miserable. And everybody's not strong like me.
Right.
I'm strong. So I carried myself and supported myself through my whole journey, and I have my gay family and friends to thank for that, because that's my family, and that's what kept if I drag kept me together, performing kept me together. If I didn't find performing, I don't know where I would be, and
Right.
who I would be. I have so many thoughts in my head, like where would I be if I didn't find performing.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What age did you start performing, or what age did you kind of start getting interested in that?
hmm Okay, you want to bring up years and age?
I didn't say the year. I didn't say the years. I said what
Okay.
age
No,
were you?
listen, I'm an open book, and I'm, like I said. So let's see. I started performing in '92. I was in my 11th grade year. I remember sneaking out the house. There was a talent night. There was a club called Studio in Houston, and they had talent night every Thursday night. So I would sneak out the house, and my mom had to be up at 6 or 7 o'clock for work. So we would do the talent night, and mind you, I was young. I was 16 or 17. I had to be, but when the show was over with, I just recall me and some friends, we would like try to find the oldest man in the club to just drop us back home. So we would be like, because you at that time, y'all call twinks now.
Right.
I was a twink. So we would find these guys and try to get back home. So I just recall trying to get back home and get in bed before my mom wake up, and realize I was gone. So I did that for like 2 years.
Well,
And
I think right there was our heap of trouble. That's I that's did she ever find out?
No, but I'm okay. So I'm gonna tell you how she found out I did drag. So there's a photographer by the name of Tio in Houston that would take pictures of the girls when they. So I took a picture one night, and I hid this picture in my drawer, in my clothes drawer in my room, and I got home from school one day, and my mom was sitting on the couch with the picture. Very mommy dearest, honey. I walk in the house, and she was like, "What's this?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "I'm cleaning up, and I find a picture of my son dressed like a woman." I said, "First of all, you wouldn't clean up. You were snooping." No, I didn't say that I was, because she would have kicked me out that damn door. But anyway, no, I said, she found the picture. So I said, that was me for Halloween. And so she was like, "Oh, well, you could have told me you dressed up as a woman for Halloween." It was some like weird story. And so she brushed it off. But little did I know, the host of the talent night, Cookie LaCook, rest in peace, worked with my mom at the Hyatt.
Wow.
So my mom knew that Cookie did drag. So Cookie would be like, "Oh, I saw your son at the show last night." So that's how I got busted. Because Cookie was like, "I saw your son at the show, blah, blah, blah." So yeah, it was crazy.
So let me ask this. Obviously, Pose is a very popular show nowadays. What was the difference like in the South during that time with the drag shows versus the voguing and different things that were going on up in New York?
I didn't realize. When I came out, I knew about drag shows. I didn't know about voguing and balls and stuff. I didn't know about that. I didn't discover that until way down the line. So in the South, it's drag. Like each state is different. Drag is different in each state, And Texas is very competitive drag. You either make the cut or you don't. So I grew up with good drag, and like now, I'm blessed to be working at my age at a bar that's full of young kids. And, if you're not doing the top 40, then they don't give a bloop about you. But I grew up with drag, Patti LaBelle, Whitney,
Right.
like all the classic, Aretha Franklin. And I can't walk out and do that, now. I'm like,
People be throwing quarters at you.
oh,
rather than
honey, they'll be throwing a
bills.
shoe at me, or
Except
something.
I would say you do a remarkable Tina.
Absolutely.
One thing, because Tina, there's certain Tina and Whitney, you can't go wrong with.
Right.
I grew up. I thought I was Patti LaBelle when I was young. You couldn't tell me I wasn't. I haven't. If I try to do Patti LaBelle now, they'd be like, "Girl, who is that?"
What is this? Yeah.
Rolling around on the floor, kicking and stuff. They'd be
Right.
like, "What is that?"
Girl,
So yeah. Unfortunately,
You still got that Beyonce, though. I've seen you do some Beyonce numbers.
well, I don't know if it's Beyonce. It's more like Tina Knowles doing Beyonce. My old ass up there.
No.
Yeah. I am just blessed and fortunate to be performing with these young and new babies that are out right now. And I'm well respected.
Absolutely.
I'm well respected in this generation too.
Obviously, whenever you go out in public, people know you as Leah Halston.
Yes.
But you have, as a drag performer, you also have your life as a male. So can we get into how, you balance those two?
Okay. So it's kind of complicated, and I've been trying to pitch a show to Logo, My Life.
Come on, Logo.
It's complicated. Oh, I'm name dropping. I don't want y'all to get sued or anything.
Oh, you can drop them.
I honestly just feel people meet Leah, and that's who they know, and I feel like that's who I am. But then there's Tony, but I feel Leah have overshadowed Tony, so I put him on the back shelf, because there was a part of my life where I convinced myself I was trans, and I still don't know till this day. I don't know. At 46, I'm still trying to find out who I am, where I belong. And it's complicated. I think it's complicated to me too, because I just don't know who I am. And at one point I was saying trans, and I was saying non-binary. Then I'm still trying to figure it out, and it's a journey for me because I'm comfortable as Leah, but I'm also comfortable as Tony. But the thing with being Tony is I try to be Tony and be that person that I was being going to my parents' house taking pictures that, oh, I'm not gay, but I need to be Tony and just be me, like
Right.
mix it with Leah and just be my feminine, flamboyant self. And it's affected dating because Leah, I enjoy dating as Leah, but when I try to date as Tony, I try to be somebody I'm not, I try. And also, being a black gay male that do drag, dating, living in Kentucky, a very conservative
I
state,
can only imagine that, yeah.
it's rough. It's really rough. And I think that's a setback too, because, it pushes me to date more as Leah, because when I try to date as Tony, you can only take so many turn downs and so many, I'm not interested, or not my type, or blah, blah, blah. That really makes you insecure, and it sets you back. But
have you had to hide that part of you in your relationships a lot of times?
Oh, yes. Hi, Leah, or?
Hide either one.
So yeah, first, there was one relationship where I met a guy, and he met me as Tony, and he loved that part of me. And 4 months into the relationship, I never said I did drag. So by the time, I moved to Chicago to be with this person, left all my drag in Houston, because at this point I felt 4 months was too late to tell him I did drag. So we dated for a year. For a year, I put Leah to the side. And that's what I'm saying. You should never hide anything or not be yourself around somebody, that you really care about. Everything should be at the forefront. And that's a lesson that I've learned from that. That was a lesson I learned. When you first meet somebody, let them know everything. Mm-hmm. But I was miserable and depressed for a year, because we would go to the drag shows in Chicago, and I'm sitting there. First of all, I was Leah. I was this popular, so people knew me. So I'm in the audience, hat on my head. I say, oh, somebody gonna recognize me, and they gonna walk up and be like, Leah, that's you, and he gonna be like, Leah. And I said, and I never want to put myself through that again.
Right.
And I say that, but I still do it. And because I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you guys, I still do it here, because like I said, in Kentucky, it is so hard. A couple of months ago, before the pandemic happened, I met a guy, and he wanted to come over to my house, and I have pictures, I have a sewing room, I have drag. You know what I did? I
took them down.
Threw all of that shit in the closet. And that's not, nobody should have to do that. Nobody should have to do that. If you want me, then you take all of me and take everything that I do. And it's still something that I'm struggling with.
I know I've seen you out in drag before, but even like walking across campus today, what kind of fears do you still have in regards to that?
So, which is different, because like when I'm Leah, I'm confident, I feel in my element. I feel I'm pulling it off very well. I'm not flashy, I'm not giving nobody no excuse, until they come up to me and be like, oh, what's wrong with your voice? But no, even walking through campus, I felt confident. And then until I see groups of people.
Right.
So when I see groups of people, I'm like, oh, let me get on my phone and act like, or, let me look, because I just don't want trouble, I'm not out here looking for trouble. It's just different from when I'm Tony, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel scared or something like this, but there's this shield that I have when I'm like this, mm-hmm. I'm like,
yeah,
bring it.
Yeah. As a person who has these two different pivotal parts of your life, mm-hmm. And I'm sure you have faced that rejection from the LGBTQ community and people that you've wanted to date in the past. And I'm sure some of those things have been incredibly hurtful. Mm-hmm. Even on social apps, people won't talk to you. People will just totally ignore messages. Mm-hmm. And I mean, while that happens to everybody, I know that happens more to people who are drag performers. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about, those kind of scenarios? And then I want you to address, how should people approach if that is just not their type, or if that's not, what they're into?
Ooh.
And I know that's a very tough.
It is kind of tough, because I just don't think people are just, I'm gonna just say cruel and, mm-hmm. and nasty, half of the things that I want to say that I get on social apps, I've gotten some nasty, I'll message somebody and be like, hey, cute, blah, 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 and I've gotten some nasty things, right. But I don't think, like I said, we're living in a new generation, and people, I'm going to tell you this, I respect a straight up answer rather than being played with or being bullshitted. I'm going to just say it. Yeah. But I respect somebody to be like, hey, you're not my type. I'm not interested, but we can be friends. I'm going to respect that, opposed to, let's talk, let's go on a date, or, or do something. And then it's like, okay, I don't hear from you. So,
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to address this topic is, this is a program for, young adults come to college and rural youth. And I think a lot of times today with social media, it's so easy to just hit the block button or hit, and that is insulting as well, in my opinion. And people do have bad reactions to rejection. But one of the things that we kind of preach on this show is there are better ways to tell someone you're not interested. There's people that aren't interested in, different types of sexualities and various things. Some people want monogamy versus open relationships. So it's, for me, I just wanted to ask that because I do realize that happens a lot in the drag world.
But my thing is, people don't, and maybe it's just me growing up in a different era, people don't give other people, a chance. How do you know you're not interested in this person if you don't at least try? I get it. You may not like black people, you may not like fat people, you may not like skinny people, or I get it. But if I'm sitting here, if we're all on apps and we're all looking for a reason,
right?
But if you keep having these high standards and or you don't, I want this and I want that, then the right person can be right next to you and you don't know it. People just have to give people a chance.
Yeah. And I think it's hard in gay culture to let a lot of that grow naturally because of these social apps. There's always, grass is always greener on the other side, type of thing. So I think that's something we experience a lot more than other communities.
And see, y'all already know my age. I understand my age. Well, I probably have, but the year. But we didn't have.
She's 21.
We didn't have apps. If you wanted to meet and go out, you went out to the club, and you got your piece. Hey, how you doing? Buy me right. You met somebody at the bar. I think apps have destroyed dating.
I would agree.
Because now you can just scroll, click, send me 1,000 pictures,
And you get to judge people purely on
a
body
picture
versus any type of intellect at all.
A picture is that moment. And, there's no personality in the picture.
No.
So people are being judged on that picture. And then,
I don't know. I've seen some personalities. It's pictures.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's go into a segment in which we call the Heap of Trouble segment. It is a segment in which we tell a story from your past, and you tell us a time in which you stepped in it, got yourself into a little bit of trouble, or experienced something in LGBTQ culture that you did not expect.
Let's see. I've been such a good, nice lady. I hosted a contest called Boot Camp. It was a show, but it was boot camp where, I made sure the girls, look professional on stage, nails and blah, 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 everything. So this one time, one of the ladies came out on stage, and it wasn't that I didn't like her. She had a lot of potential, and here's the thing. I always tell the girls, if I'm hard on you, that means I like you and you have a future in the business. But I think I was a little bit too hard on her that night, and I said some things, hurtful things, on the microphone in front of everybody that hurt her feelings.
Right.
And, after I went home and I thought about it, and I said, I said some really mean things, and that wasn't me. But by this time, she had already called the bar and already had put it out on social media that I was mean and nasty, and I said all these things. So I woke up to all these messages. I woke up to a phone call from the bar saying, we have a situation, and we didn't give you this position to tear down somebody, blah, blah, blah. But I said, I already know. I came home and I thought about what I did, and I had planned on reaching out. So I reached out and I cleared up the situation. I apologized, and and made the situation better. But what I'm saying is that at that moment when I thought I was giving the right advice, I was being very mean and hateful, because I wanted this person to grow and learn, but my comments to the other girls wasn't as mean as hateful. They were mean, and I was giving advice, but I was very hateful to this young lady. And what I'm trying to say is that I knew what I did, and I went home and I thought about it, and I fixed the situation right at that moment. And I regret doing that, but I fixed it, and we have a really good relationship now.
Yeah. And I think anytime you're on a mic, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, that's something you're going to have to apologize for something eventually.
Oh,
you know?
Well, and honestly, being an MC, first of all, I never in my life would have thought that I would be where I'm at, being an MC at one of the top bars in the country. If you knew me before this, I never wanted to talk on the microphone. I hated to hear my voice. I'm country. I'm always afraid of, I think in my head, I'm always afraid if I'm going to say the wrong word, or am I going to enunciate it wrong or whatever. So I hated to talk on the microphone. And even during with pageants, I hated doing pageants with on-stage question and answer, because I am thinking, I want to say this big word, but I can't, and I probably don't even know what it means. So, but I've grown out of that, and I've learned to accept that I'm me, and I'm not perfect. So I always say, when I interview, people say, well, how do you come up with your material? I don't. When I walk out on stage, whatever comes out my mouth, comes out my mouth. That's it.
Right.
That's how I approach things. And, people say, oh, we love you as an MC. You're funny and blah, blah, blah. Thank you. But, that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm just real when I walk out. So,
have you ever had any embarrassing moments as an MC?
Yeah.
Any like Janet Jackson clothing issues?
Well, so yeah, there's one time I was emceeing and I choked on my spit. So I'm like red eyes, coughing, and trying to talk, and I was like, okay, hold on, I gotta turn around, and I'm like, and instead of me putting the microphone down, I'm like, on the microphone. There's moments where you think you're funny. I remember getting in trouble for pointing out this woman that was in the audience that looked like Paula Deen.
Oh my goodness.
And it's a drag show. So I'm like, oh my God, y'all, look, Paula Deen is here. Mm-hmm. And she was not amused, and she was very upset that I called her Paula Deen, and that was embarrassing. And, of course, she went to management and complained, and she was like, Paula Deen is racist. Why would she call me that? And I'm like, it's a drag show. So, you have to be careful. What I've learned is you have to be careful and be sensitive to people. Like now, I know to look in the audience and know if somebody's uncomfortable, if I'm talking, or, I can play with them, We get a lot of heterosexual people there that men, I can tell when they're uncomfortable, because I don't want anybody to leave the show.
Right.
I don't want to be one of them MCs that come out and just like attack.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I come out to try to be funny, but then it fails.
What advice would you have for newcomers?
Walk in with an open mind. Walk in ready to have fun. And do know that drag queens are very aggressive. And just have fun, and just know that nobody's out there to attack you. If you feel uncomfortable, then let somebody know. If somebody touch you inappropriately, or just say something to you, let somebody know. But when you walk into a drag show, it's all fun and games. Drag, I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and be like, oh, somebody died in my family. I'm going through something, but I came here tonight and you made me forget about all of that. And
Right.
you made me laugh, or you make me feel like this. So that's my goal, is when people walk into my drag show, is I want to make them laugh, smile, dance, and have a good time, because you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what anybody's going through in life. And I feel like drag is therapy. Walk in with an open mind and have fun.
I think while we're giving advice, let's turn it to the do's and don'ts segment. Do you have any topic that you want to discuss on this show?
Well, I am the first drag queen, so I'll give my do's and don'ts of drag. First timers.
Definitely.
Do's first. If you're first time in drag, go and if whatever state you're in, there's always a talent night or open stage. Go and watch the professional girls, ask a lot of questions, and just throw yourself into it. The more you do it, makeup, walking in heels, the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it. When you're at home, paint. And if you can't walk in a shoe, go to the thrift store and buy you some cheap shoes and walk in them shoes, do laundry in them shoes, vacuum in those shoes, do them. The don'ts of drag, don't drink and drive in drag. Don't drink and drive, period. Don't drive with a pump on. That's the only things I can think of. Don't like drag's supposed to be fun. It should be fun. So there's really not a lot of don'ts. Just don't just go out there. And if your friends talk, don't just go out there. Be prepared. Always be prepared.
And one thing I would add, don't get discouraged.
Yes, that's a good one. You know what? That's a good one. Thank you, Kurtis. Don't get discouraged because a lot of people come up. A lot of people sit in the audience every weekend or every day. Somebody's writing me and saying, "I want to do drag. I want to do drag." And my thing is, do it. Don't wait. Don't, just do it. Don't let nobody discourage you. Don't let nobody tell you, "Oh, Miss Thane, you don't have the face for it." Everybody can do drag. And drag come in different forms. And, there's goth, there's alternative. Just do it. But even at drag shows, we go back to doing the right songs. The crowds can be very, especially here. That's what I'm saying. If you do the right song, they love you. If you do the wrong song, they're judgmental.
Yeah, you give me some Beyonce any day, and I'm gonna be up on that stage.
Beyonce, yes, and I'm learning that this new generation likes skin. That's why a lot of girls don't pad or do anything anymore, because the more skin you show, the more money you make. The more ass twerking you do, the more money you make. They want to come. They want us. Let me tell you something. I love a hype drag show. Don't get me wrong. Come out, shake what your mama gave, and make that money. I love that because the crowd loves it. People, they want a show. But what I want people to learn is accept all. Drag is, is everything. It's glamour. It's glitz. It's, it's beauty. So, don't just yell and scream for that girl that's twerking and doing that Beyonce song and blah, blah, blah. Yell and scream for that girl that come out in a feathered showgirl costume, or standing there in a beautiful, elegant evening gown, because it's entertaining as well, Yeah,
and I would agree. There's just tons of different types of drag out there, so definitely don't get discouraged. Find your niche if you're going to do this.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really like that just recently came out was Joshua Bassett just came out. But the thing that he said was there's this, there's the LGBTQ plus alphabet. Why is it important to pick just one? So I kind of wanted to real briefly go back to your topic of these multiple, identities that you're facing. How are you going to go forward from here, from this point of, you're kind of having this identity, I wouldn't say a crisis, but coming to terms with that?
I just think that it's just a work in progress, and that's just something that I have to work on with myself and moving forward. I just have to figure, you're you're never too young or too old to you're still learning yourself. I'm still learning myself at this age because, like I said, I fought against myself younger, and I played pretend so much. So now I'm trying to fix the puzzles in my life and trying to put them together and figure out who I am and where I belong, and and I think it also affects relationship wise because I can't be in a relationship and I don't know who I am because I'm still trying to figure out who I am and trying to love myself. So how can I love somebody else? I just got out of a 3-year relationship because it was selfish of me to have that person in a relationship when I was struggling with trying to figure out with who I am. So I had to let that person go, and he don't understand why. But I'm trying to explain, it's not you, it's me. And, we don't have a lot of people out there that's like me. Like, I'm not selfish. I have to figure out myself. Right. And until I'm happy and I figure out myself, then hopefully somebody, will come along and, that, and I can fall in love again. But until I figure out my journey and who I want to be, and I know you asked that question, it's like, I'm still honestly struggling with that, I'm writing a journal. I'm logging everything down, and I told you, I'm working on trying to do a book, and I'm just so much is just going on right now,
Sometimes you just gotta lay it out all on paper, and then just kind of start sorting through.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing, and and it's tough and it's rough, but like I said, I'm trying to pull. I will pull through and get through it, And I just watch so many young kids talk about wanting to be in love and they want this and want that, and I'm like, you got to learn you first. You have to find you and be yourself first, and when you find you and love you, then that will come along. And stop looking for it. When you stop looking for it, it shows up.
If you're a rural kid in out there, you don't have to understand your entire identity right away.
Right.
Your identity is going to change over time.
Yes.
You're gonna know that there is, as Joshua Bassett said, there's all these different letters in the LGBTQ plus community, and it's going to take some time for you to figure out exactly where you fit on that spectrum there. So that was one of the key points I wanted to get out because I know you've had a great story with that. Well, we always like to wrap up the show with one final question where you get to ask me anything you want. It doesn't have to do with anything on the show. You can put me in a hot seat, or you can just be really nice to me because I'm your friend. And then I get to ask you one final question of anything that I want. So be nice to me.
Oh, let's see what I can think about. You and I have, we do have really deep conversations, and I always say, you're a very attractive man, very successful man, and
well, thank you.
and I'm always surprised that Kurtis is not in a relationship. And I'm like, what's wrong?
Don't tell my boyfriend that I tell people I'm not in a relationship. I'm joking. I really am single.
So, and I know, and he and I have talked about, what he like and what he's attracted to. And I always say, give other guys a shot, So, we talked about that. Have you open up to giving other guys out of what you like?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about that, and obviously, I'm very open and honest on this show. I generally go for the guys that are younger than me, that are a certain body build, and I think a part of that is just it's the type of guys I've always known. It's the community in which I've grown up in. The people that I've hung around, that's like the main groups of people that I've hung around. So I think a lot of times you get attracted to what you feel comfortable with. And I think especially growing up in, rural Kentucky, it is difficult because you've grown up hearing all these different things about different cultures and stuff. And so it's like, not only would it be gay, like if I'm to bring home a black person or a transgender person, and then having to deal with those kind of things with your family, I think that's where a lot of that originates. For me, I have grown a lot as just a person in the past 5 years. And that is, I do try to give people a chance. And my big thing is I have stopped truly just rejecting people. I think that you see that so much in this culture of, unfortunately, the no blacks, no femmes, no, whatever, which is, it's a disgusting concept. You don't have to be into that culture or be into that as, your type, but it's disgusting to just voice that. So for me, yes, I am more open. I have dated people older than me now, so that's a little different. But I do think that that's where a lot of that originates, and it's something I'm working through, just like you're working through your identity concept.
Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. Also, I've known you for a while, and I know that you are very so I got joy when we hung out in Columbus, and I got to see you let your hair down, and that made me so happy. It made me so happy to see you let your hair down, and I get joy watching people have a good time.
You know how that is though, to be be a public figure in a place, you don't want that. You gotta go out of town to really be able to be yourself sometimes. And we had such a great time in Columbus. So definitely getting out of town. That was one time you did get to see me let my hair down a little bit. Saw probably more than what you wanted to see, but
baby, we're not gonna tell those stories.
It was in the first episode, so it's already out there.
No, listen, I had the best time, so I'm glad that I had to share. I recorded memories with you guys, and thank you guys for having me here. And
you ain't getting out that easy. I got one more question. Mine, actually, I'm going to let you off a little easy because I've gotten into some deep discussions with you in the past, so I know where you're at. I want to know about the first time that you tipped a drag queen or saw a drag queen and what your feelings were then.
Okay. Good question, because the first drag queen I saw, her name is Tommy Ross. She's legendary. And if you don't know who Tommy Ross is, Google. Tommy Ross is beautiful black queen that's Miss Everything. And I remember walking into the bar as a 16 or 17-year-old kid, and I didn't know men. Cause I knew there were gay men, but I didn't know men dressed up as women. So I walked into this club, and I saw this beautiful woman doing Billie Holiday on the stage, and I'm like, ooh, I thought it was a woman, and then later on I found out it was, men dressed up. And she was the first person I saw that encouraged me and gave me inspiration. And actually, I didn't have inspiration. It was walking around the bar, and she actually came up to me and she said, "You do drag?" And I said, "No, ma'am." And she said, "You have a face for it." And ran from that. So Tommy Ross was my inspiration. Wow. Also, my drag mother, LaWanda Jackson, is my inspiration as well. She in so many ways, that's my best friend. That's my everything. And LaWanda, everybody said, "Well, why you don't have Jackson as your name?" I said, because my drag mother was not a selfish drag mother. Her best friend was Ebony Halston, and Ebony Halston committed suicide, and she never had a drag kid. So my drag mother said, "I want you to honor my best friend."
Wow.
So she said, "You take her last name, but you're my child." So, and I love her to death. She's the sweetest person, and she suffered a stroke, and she's getting through that. And right now she has COVID and is in the hospital, so we're praying for her. And I'm hoping everything will be well.
This is the second one. Gave me goosebumps today. That story about getting your name, I'd never heard that.
Yeah.
So, All right. Well, I think that's about to wrap up our show here. I just want to say, one, thank you for being our first drag queen. Thank you for coming on our show today. Obviously, I would not have any other drag queen be our first than Miss Leah Halston.
Thank you.
More important, thank you for being my friend and teaching me so much over the past, year, 2 years that we've really gotten to know each other. All them late night conversations and deep discussions that, I think it's those kind of things that really inspired me to create this show. This is what people need to hear out there is discussions like the ones we're having.
Yeah.
So thank you. I love you.
I love you.
Love you too.
I feel like you took it a little bit easy on me, but I mean, we got it across.
Yeah.
They just have to wait for my book.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We can't spoil too much for
I
them.
know. The book is very detailed and juicy.
I'm excited about the book because I think what I'm waiting on is for you to tell me, hey, mine's almost ready. Because then I can be like, all right, let's release them at the same time. We'll go on tour together.
Oh my God, yes.
And that would be the best part. But all right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate having you on the show. Leah gave us a wonderful discussion about identity, how our interpretations of our own identity can change over time, and a persuasive understanding that it is okay to still be shaping your identity at any age. It's okay if you don't know right now where you fall on the LGBTQ plus alphabet of identifiers. There are parts of our identity in which we cannot change, and there are ideas and beliefs we have that can shape our happiness around our identity. When the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland asks, "Who are you?" Alice responds, "Well, I hardly know, sir. I've changed so much since this morning." Who are you really? Whoever that is, we love you over here at Weathering Rainbows, and we wish you the best on your personal journey of self-discovery. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to come on back now. I know we all love a little vibration, so if you are not already, go ahead and subscribe to this podcast. And we will surprise you on occasion with a new release vibration in your pocket. But in the meantime, if you find yourself alone or crossing new horizons along the Rainbow Trail, and you need a friend or even a laugh to get you through those dark and stormy nights, holler on out to us at www.weatheringrainbows.com, where you can find shelter in the blogs, videos, and other episodes that will hopefully keep you out of a whole heap of trouble. So until next time, y'all, giddy up, be true to yourself, and make the best of life. And wherever the wild tracks may lead you, may the rainbow always touch your shoulder.